Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be checking out Cassie Lang's abilities based per deep dive, break them down, and I'm going to give kind of my brief initial impressions of the champion. And without holding it any longer, I do quite like what they have done with Cassie Lang. Now I do have some worries, some reservations, but I also definitely do have some points that I seem to enjoy, and I have quite high hopes for some of the aspects in her kit. Now, the first thing is obviously she can get up to 40 power stings on the opponent that continuously keep refreshing themselves, and that also kind of implies that you always want to maintain a relatively high fight tempo with her, and you could potentially be dealing quite great damage, including those guaranteed crits from level 2, even though I don't think it is going to be that important part of her kit. So let's take a look. First cool thing about her is obviously the fact that she is a buff immune character at her base, just like Ant-Man now is, and Red Guardian and Spidey 2099 and a handful of others, as well as immune to poison and shock. So she basically has the Ant-Man immunity set, which I like a lot. And as stated here, she does have her power stings that always reapply themselves whenever opponent uses a special attack, which is quite awesome. And she also has a pin particle mechanic, which actually kind of seems out of place. Yes, it does give her access to poison, but in reality, I just don't think that whole pin particle mechanic is all that important or needed in her kit. But still, having extra, poison debuff access is not bad at all. She does have access to Taunt on level 1 as well. Taunt with power stings is always appreciated. And the coolest thing for me is her heavy attack, where she basically can charge her heavy attack for a prolonged period of time based on how much pin particles she has. And while she's charging heavy attack, she's basically just missing everything, including special attacks, so on and so forth, and that is also how she kind of gets the power stings applied to the opponent. And the playstyle like that, an ability like that, reminds you a bit of Tigra, a bit of something else that, a different twist on it. But the point is where you charge a heavy attack and the opponent throws a special attack and then you punish it, and then a lot of cool things happen and damage gets done. So I do like that quite a bit. There is a drawback of, recklessly using that mechanic, that you can stun yourself if you run out of those charges. But also there's an incentive of the longer you charge your heavy attack, the more hits you miss, the more power stings you build up, basically. And then obviously all of those power stings can be maintained for the remainder of the fight, which is quite awesome. The poison debuffs themselves also with the pin particle mechanic can be applied by finishing a combo with a light attack, and they didn't seem to be that potent at the very least from what we saw before. But overall, I definitely do see quite a lot of interesting abilities there that I would absolutely love to play with myself. Now this is one point which I really did notice immediately, is that when she activates her level 1, she's going to be forcing a very fast tempo fight as a defender as well, because you basically need to get a combo of 14 in 10 seconds, otherwise you're going to kind of take a power sting detonation whilst Cassie Lang is a defender. So I think initially, at the very least, she's definitely going to be quite frustrating to deal with on defense, because you're going to have to be very quick and fast paced to deal with Cassie Lang on defense, at the very least by the looks of it. And then offensively, obviously, as the final bit, she does have guaranteed crits on level 2 if you activate at level 2, whilst the Taunt from level 1 is active. And you get extra attack for each power sting, so it can end up hitting quite hard, but that's kind of like a longer fight payoff. I think in shorter fights you might not necessarily even get to that point. And then the level 3 is kind of cool, because it lets her grow in size, it gives her permanent fury and physical resistance benefits, it puts crush debuff on the opponent. I actually don't even know exactly what crush debuff does, but I'm sure we're gonna figure that out soon. But that level 2 seems to be quite nice as well, why not? And then her signature ability. Cassie's Pimp Suit is enhanced and grants her immunity to Power Steel. Additional immunity, neat. It's still, fairly minor. It should have been like Power Steel, Burn, and what, drain, that would be better, or just having power drain immunity, I suppose, would be better. But it is what it is. Power Stings have their stack limit increased by up to 10. So here goes up to max 40 Power Stings that she can have access to. You also gain up to 9% chance to evade the opponent's attacks. This could be quite annoying because, like OG Spider, there is no off switch to this. This does not include an exception as to when you're blocking or something like that. So I'm not entirely sure that I would personally enjoy this ability whilst you're using Cassie Lang offensively. It's kind of like when she's going to start evading when you don't mean or want her to evade, it can be very, very frustrating. That's why I like when we have champions like Stealth Spiders and a handful of others whose evade effects do not work whilst you are blocking or on well-timed blocks. But we don't have that line here, so the signature ability immediately makes me kind of, they really should have added that blocking or parry clause there. And also when Cassie evades, she inflicts a Power Sting debuff lasting 14 seconds. You know, neat, nice, why not, can be there. And then, you know, ultimately she has her ramp up by spamming level 1s, missing a bunch of hits with her heavy attack, and then getting to level 2 and dropping a guaranteed critical level 2. And how her damage output will look like in short to medium length fights, I hope it does look better than it initially appeared in the deep dive. But again, in deep dives we really cannot judge the numbers there because they're always completely off in one way or another. So hopefully she does have enough of the initial kind of like damage and you can ramp her up quickly enough. And then the synergies. And synergy wise, there's nothing actually too crazy for anything really. He's so ugly, I love him. It's kind of reference to the movie with that ugly teddy bear that Ant-Man gave her. And whenever opponent activates special attack while suffering from a Power Sting, they're inflicted with 1 additional Power Sting. It's nothing super special here. And Toad, again, striking opponent's block with tongue attacks inflicts 2 paralytic poisons instead of 1. Again, it's nothing too special here. Now with Ant-Man and Wasp, triggering miss grants 1 additional dormant Power Sting. This one's quite nice. This will definitely help her ramp up quicker. For Ant-Man, while opponents suffering from unsteady debuff, the durations of all personal debuffs are increased by 20%. Neat. Wasp, striking the opponent with guaranteed critical hit, grants Wasp an additional 3 combo. It's nice, again, you know, it's neat. With Sentinel, all champions gain 5% attack rating for each XL champion on the team. This one's quite cool. I do like this synergy. You can get a reasonable attack bonus there. Sick kicks. This synergy is just for fun, just for lols. All attacks involving shoes have their attack rating increased by 5% for synergy champions. It's a pitiful bonus for only a handful of attacks, really. So this one's quite cool. This one's very cool, actually. Gain plus 6% block proficiency and block penetration for each synergy member present. And if you do build around team, you can get quite significant block proficiency increase, which could potentially be noticeable, considering it's like Apocalypse, Immortal Hulk, Cassie Lang. Could be interesting synergy maybe, but this one is just about the only one that kind of piqued my interest, really. This one really annoyed me, kind of like, it's just for the lols, really. But either way, that's Cassie Lang, and overall I do like her kit a lot. I do like the fact that she has the 3 immunities, the buff immunity, the poison, the shock immunity, quick and easy access to power stings that reapply themselves, and Taunt on level 1, she will have a way how to deal with some unblockable or some pesky special attacks, and I'm all up for that. So that being said, obviously there are some worries with her. Like, number 1 is how she will always basically force you to have a very fast-paced fight, which is not necessarily the worst thing, but can make her much more tricky to use. Second thing is obviously she will be a bit ramp-uppy. Hopefully you can get your power stings up very quickly, very early on in any kind of like regular typical fight, up to like 30 some. And if that works, you know, that is where the important point is going to be, how quickly she can get to the point where she does meaningful, reasonable amount of damage to the opponents, and how her damage output is going to look overall. Because, you know, looking at her, it's not that much different from looking at Ant-Man, and Ant-Man is just flat out too slow, like way too slow. If Cassie can do something similar, just significantly faster, then she's immediately significantly better champion for that. So, can't wait to see more of this champion, and so far I'm definitely quite interested to see what Cassie Lang will do in Mortal Kombat Champions. Let me know what you guys think about Cassie Lang, and I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about